Hotepu Gatekeepers, we continue now in our Ani Papyrus adventure and the dreaming arts, and recall these online sessions, these initiations are to help you to develop the power of dreaming, as in when you fall asleep and waking back up in the dream time to control the imagery that you are experiencing. This has many functions. One is to help you focus on your life's dreams while you're awake, your goals and your projects, and to stay focused. It disciplines the mind, and it also prepares you for very high-level meditation experiences, astral projection experiences, and ultimately the maintenance of clarity and focus of your mind during what's called the death process in the West that we must all one day experience. So you have to practice and learn to control your mind. And I remind you again that many modern people may resist these initiations because they don't want to let go of the Western 3, 5, 10-second commercial kind of mindset, the very short attention spans. But you have to learn to control your mind. All great people, all successful people were able to focus and concentrate on a target and not allow life's distractions to pull them from their dreams. So this is a very simple and a very rich way to practice this technique of what we call Jed Ujat, the stabilization of the eye, the steadying of the imagination. So today we go into the tableau you see on your screen, and I will introduce you to the characters in this scene. Of course, everything you're looking at represents you. These are nothing more than aspects of your own psychology. Kemet is a tradition of a spiritual, psychological, voodoo type of psychology system. So here we have the god called Hech. He is shown as a blue seated figure, and it may be hard to see, but his body is actually made of waves. They're drawn in a very faint black, but he is shown here as literally a living spirit of water. This is what the Dogon will call the Nomo. We call Hapi, or Hapiur, the great ocean, the great androgynous beginning of all life. And here we're seeing this part of you, which is shown sitting, meaning it is passive, that you have to go into a very deep, deep nirvana, or what we call Hatep level of consciousness or restfulness, to reach this place of infinite, unlimited space. This is the God of potential within you. This is the God of unlimited possibilities within you. And he's shown as androgynous as the god Hapi, the Nile god with breasts here, and he's pregnant bellied here. But in this case, he's shown as his form of Hech, Hapi Hech, or the eternal Nile. He's holding here this palm branch, which represents longevity or eternity, and again a modified palm branch crown on his head here. This palm branch has been preserved by the Yoruba in terms of preserving the palm, what's called the palm ikin divination seeds, the palm nuts. And the opele chain, also used by the Yoruba diviners, the Babalaos, is made of palm seeds often, traditionally made of palm husks. So he's here holding the wisdom system of Africa, called we call it the Afa system, or the Ifa. I means the god of wisdom, and Fa means to carry, or we call Afa, which means the great carrier, and it's called in West Africa, the Yoruba also call it Ifa. So what this is telling you, this god in blue is the non-REM state of sleep, that place you go to when you go into deep, deep sleep, where your eyes don't move anymore. You kind of completely black out. You have visited this God. You're in that very deep, restful position, and you are in the land of eternity. There is no time there. There is no space there. There is no motion there. There is no light there. Everything is still. Everything is unlimited. And from that place, you dream or you receive visions or you receive what's called your udu or your odu, which is a word of power that controls your life, gives you eternal life. Okay? And then he's shown here with his hand the Lord of unlimited peaceful possibilities, or possibilities, unlimited possibilities that come from entering a deep peaceful state of meditation. And one quick thing about this deity also, he represents, as the texts down here go into, which I won't articulate in detail now, but this deity Hech in blue represents the affirmation that you can turn over a new leaf. You can do better. His affirmation is you can do better. There's a place within you that's not bound or limited by your past, by your programmings, by your issues. There's a place within you that can change its ways, change your habits. And that place is this blue figure, or this deep meditation state called Hatep, or Nirvana, or deep theta, delta brainwave state. In that state, you can reprogram yourself from bad habits to good habits. And you want to do that from a reading. He's holding the palm branch of divination or diviners, still used by West African diviners of Ifa. That you want to end that deep state from a reading you receive from a royal high priest. How to reprogram your bad habits and to wash yourself clean of your crimes, of your bad habits, and of your negativities. Then we see him here with his hand of infinite possibilities energizing this oval, and this ovals often represent the earth or the material world. And here we're seeing a stylized hawk's eye here, a bird's eye shown here. Okay, now this symbol is very rich in correspondences. Number one, this oval means the word land or earth or matter or mass, and it contains an eye, and it's telling you that matter, nature, things in the universe, all things in the universe contain within it a seer. There is a consciousness running through every particle of matter, every atom, every galaxy, every hair on your head. That the supreme consciousness, the universal consciousness, is aware, awake in that particle. This could be called a particle, this oval. So there's no place the divine is not. He's in every part of your atoms, every organ, every leaf, every tree, every cloud droplet. And because we have this figure of infinite possibility, the power of unlimited change, energizing particles, this means this is our way of teaching our gay initiates the word you may have learned in school called adaptability, adaptation in nature. That the forms of nature can adapt, meaning change their structure. This is a particle. This could be an atom. They can change their form because inside of each particle is the eternal watcher who's aware of the needs of that animal or that new tree species or environmental changes. So you can change your molecules, change your body. You can adapt to new environments, new scenarios, because infinity and possibilities are energizing the awareness within you to change, to adapt, to morph. Then we have here this deity here, whose name is Waj-Ur, They're the same God. Actually, you notice they both have the breasts, they both have the pregnant belly, and they're both wearing the same unique kilt that is specific to this Neteru, this deity inside of you. So here we're seeing him standing in this arm position with his hands energizing two lakes, two ponds, these blue ponds, these rectangles. Okay? So, what we're seeing here is a rendition of your chakra system. We went from deep sleep and how you can, through the words of power of the oracle, the palmlet oracles, reprogram your bad habits to adapt to a better way. And the next feature of that process is this scene, which is Hoppy shown here standing as your central spine of your chakras. What's called the central channel, or the Nile we called it. The Black Dravidian yoga system calls it the Sushumna, central channel of the chakras. And then here we have the left and right channels of the chakras, called in the Black Dravidian system the Ida and Pingala channels. Okay? And here, once you reprogram yourself in deep sleep, or come out of deep sleep, and you've repaired your body, repaired your particles, your chakras also go through an energizing process. And the chakras are simply an outlined system of states of consciousness in the dream world, and in the conscious world, and the afterlife world, by the way. So, here we have your three chakra channels, the middle, left, and right. And this also corresponds to, by the way, a hint to those who can see it, of what's called the tree of life. We call it the gay rainbow tree of eternal life, eternal gay life, where you have the central column here of the Kabbalah, and you have this pillar, which is called the lake of natron. In the text it tells you this is called the lake of natron. Natron is that salt used to preserve mummies. It's a purifying element. So this lake corresponds to purification through what's called the tree of life, pillar of severity, natron, where you are tested through the bitter salts of life to preserve your goodness through trial and challenge. And this is called the pillar of mercy. In the text down here, it also tells you this is called the lake of Ma'at, Lord of cosmic order, harmony, and balance. So we have here the central pillar in the Kabbalah, or tree of life. We have here the lake, or the pillar of severity, growth through challenge. And here we have the lake, or the pillar of Ma'at, which is mercy, growth through luck and supportive energies. And these things will activate when you come out of the deepest sleep or deepest meditational states. So if we take this whole section of the two Hopi figures, it's telling us through deepest meditation and peaceful deep consciousness, you can reprogram yourself, make yourself a better person, and up-level your chakras. Next we have here this building, which is called Restau in the text. And Restau has several meanings. It can mean the spirit world in general. It can also mean the root chakra, the first chakra at the perineum. And we use both those meanings of it in this context of your dreaming. Notice the building is sitting atop this mat, and we'll see it again here. And recall that mats represent knowledge, information, or foundation and accurate knowledge or science. So here we have the mat of knowledge, and we have the spirit world starting from the root chakra. Recall here we went to all the chakras here, and then we're focusing on the root chakra. And this is the base brain. What you're looking at here is the brain structure itself, because the root chakra is the earth element, which means a material or physical form. We went here from formlessness to very subtle forms of the chakras, kind of astral forms, to an actual building, a concrete form. We see a progression of materialization and densification going on here. Okay? Now, this corresponds to your brain, your material brain. That's why it's this gray and red matter. It's colored gray because the brain is kind of a gray matter, and the red corresponds to the blood flow in the material physical brain, not the psychic brain or the cosmic brain, so to speak, but the material brain. That's why it's also sitting upon the mat of knowledge, because the brain is the knowledge center of your being. It's the great intellect of the physical body. Note it's divided into two basic sides, left and right brain hemispheres. And there's a central system here which is distinct from the others. It's drawn not in the same way as the left-right hemispheres. Okay? And there's a very serious geometry going on here, particularly with, if you look at these tiny, this set of tiny squares here that I'm tracing, or here, this kind of block of tiny tiles, we could say, if you look at it carefully, it resembles several things you may have seen before. Note, if you look this at the reds going this way and this way, you see patterns. A little gray here, a little gray here, then a long red here, then a long red here, then a kind of triangle of red here and triangle of red here. You're seeing mirroring effect. You see that the left brain looks at incoming data in one way. The right brain looks at the same data, meaning mirroring it, but from an opposite point of view. The left brain looks at it from its parts, and the right brain looks at it flipping from looking at parts to looking at wholes and complete forms. There's a lot of information here that would serve well brain doctors and the study of the brain. And this kind of tiling, coloring going on here is the comedic intent to show synaptic firings. This idea of synaptic firings of a communication system, it resembles a computer chip. If you look at it carefully, a tiny computer chip. You see? So there's much hiding in this image. And this central area is the nasal passage here. You have your two nostrils in gold. You should breathe in golden chi, golden life force, golden prana. Yes? And then you go higher up into the nasal passages and into the pituitary pineal center, which, as you see, connects the two halves. It's these levels of brain functions that bridge the left and right functions. Because this kind of red here and red line here, you get a sense of crisscrossing, which the brain likes to do. The left brain controls the right part of your body, and the right brain controls the left side of your body. Okay? And notice that these higher brain centers are horizontal, meaning in a passive state. Your pituitary pineal gland, your thalamus gland, these have to be awakened consciously. They're passive unless initiation awakens them. Whereas here you have these same shapes of these narrow strips, but they're now vertical. Okay? So basically the vertical lines here correspond to education, and vertical like this, oftentimes you may have seen in Dogon images, the Dogon council house, their congress basically building, is shown by having these pillars carved with ancestors' bodies in them. And so there's a link in Dogon, which are Kemetic people that move from Kemet to more Western Africa. These vertical lines represent the Dogon pillars of the council hall. where the elders educate the youth and guide the youth. So basically, these vertical sides are left brain education from the elders, traditions, and then the right brain education from the elders and the support system for the youth. This would be more technical knowledge, the left brain. This would be more ritual and spiritual knowledge from the elders supporting the firings of the brain. You see? And through deep breathing, the golden energy of the universe, gold is also a symbol for what's called prana. Ra is often shown gilded. And for example, in King Tut's tomb, there were many things of gold. That gold represents several things, but primarily it represents chi, prana, life force. Okay? And so what you're visualizing here when you fall asleep is how from deep sleep state you reprogrammed yourself, and now your chakras are reprogramming, and now your brain is reprogramming here. Here the habit is being wired into the system and making synaptic pathways of the new habit. The brain is learning. That's why it's sitting upon this mat of information. It's now learning and adapting. We discussed adaptation earlier. It's adapting and growing to make new habits, new patterns. Then we have here this eye, this all-seeing eye, called the eye of Ra. And this eye represents the power of the right brain to process information in a very holistic manner. So here we're seeing the brain processing data here. It's making new synapses, and now you can perceive the new synapses. You're able to make sense of it all. You see it. You get insight about it. You get a clear picture in your mind of what all of these firings are trying to generate. You have a clear image of the new you, the new habit. Okay? And it's stored in this building of memory. Okay? Note it's a white building, meaning purified. It's been cleansed because we started with the god of water cleansing us. And now we have a clean mind, clean perception. The next, and by the way, this image here is laden with meaning about the brain. If you were to do a cross-section of the brain, you would see it resembles this shape in a very, very clear form. For example, this would be the cerebellum here. This would be the medulla oblongata here. This long line here. This little bump is the pons on the medulla oblongata. This front white area would be your pituitary gland. The pupil is more like your thalamus. This brow is what's called your corpus callosum. So this is really the eye of enlightenment, of an enlightened behavior. And the enlightenment here is due to a reprogramming of the higher brain functions, which we saw here in the chakras. You see? So this is all this tableau is almost purely biological. It's really what's called bioscience or psychobiology. Then we have the next image called the Mehur, the Great Flood, also called the Eye of Ra. Again, we're seeing this figure on a mat of information. This is not a building anymore. It's now a platform, a solid base of support. So now the eye can see the clear new you, the better habit. It stores it in the building of memory and now becomes a solid base of a new behavior. This form here is telling you this is the cow of joy, of seeing a thing happily, of enjoying the new you. Note the cow. The cow's eye is on the same axis, horizontal axis, as this eye. So this cow is looking at what your brain programmed and saying, now enjoy that. Visualize enjoying the new you. Don't be gloomy and rough about it. Actually enjoy the new you. And here we see this flail of discipline, meaning now discipline yourself. Enjoy it. Enjoy not being angry anymore. Enjoy not being a thief or lying or being a bully. Now you must control your imagination in the way of enjoying the new you. Okay? And this necklace the cow is wearing is called the minat, which means to nurse or to stabilize, to nourish. So you want to stabilize, creatively visualizing the new you, no matter what comes. If you're a person trying to overcome a bad habit or drinking booze, this flail says you will be tempted, but control yourself. Discipline your mind. Nothing controls you. You have to give it permission to control you. Permission to control you. Stay in control. That's what this is doing here. And then finally, this image. And one more thing here. This cow, Meh'ur, is called the Great Flood. The Great Flood water of the Eye of Ra. This is the flood of happiness. The joy that comes from that place. You see the cow's mummified. It's preserved. You're going to preserve that new image of yourself. You're not going to let go of it. You're not going to let it be tempted. It can't be corrupted or decayed by temptation. It is preserved and wrapped tight in the cloth of joy and happiness of the possibility of a new you. And you will fight for it with this flail. You will ward off things that try to harm the new you. So then we have here two canopic jar gods. One's called Hapi, Imset, Duamutef, and Kebsenuf. These correspond to your organs. And here we have what's called the Mound of Abdu. Yes. And this image is now wiring it into your organs. The new you is now going to be programmed deep into your organs. The organs are very powerful in the Kemetic system. The closest that we can talk about them is the Chinese system of Chinese medicine, the 5-organ system. That was what we called the canopic jars. It's the exact same system with a slight difference of focus. So now you're reprogramming while you're sleeping the new you in your organs. Your anger comes from your liver. Your sadness comes from your kidneys. And when those organs and their meridians, their allied meridians, are blocked or a mess, you have anger or sadness or depression or violence or whatever it is. We see the same 4 figures shown here. And what's interesting in this tableau, we start with 8 figures here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see here a doubling. We have 2 here and mirrored opposite direction facing 2 here. Recall we had pillar of severity, pillar of mercy, opposite. So you see this theme of doubling at the end of the tableau. And note, these canopic jar gods are also mummified. They're incorruptible. Now the new you is so built into your cells, your organs themselves, you can't but be the new you. And these 8 figures of the canopic gods do correspond back to this figure of the palm branch, which has 8 strokes when you throw the reading. What's called the Odu or the Udu. The Odu Ifa or the Udu. Okay? That these gods want to talk to the oracle god. And here we have this coffin, and you're resurrecting a new you. Look at you, bright and shiny, holding new life in your hands. Again, 1 ankh for the left brain, 1 ankh for the right brain's renewal. This is you waking out of sleep. This glyph here, just this kind of half circle, is called Kha, which means to rise, like as in the sunrise in the east. So here you're a new you coming out of the coffin of the dead you, resurrecting. Your 2 brain hemispheres re-energized with new life, new excitement. The new you. And also this glyph of this kind of hemisphere corresponds to this head will be the equinox, and these two arms will be the solstices, and these two kind of walls here represent what's called the royal arch, that the sun will not go past 23.5 degrees north at the summer, nor 23.5 degrees south in the winter. So it's telling you that you want to time according to the tropical calendar, which is for us the calendar of the ancestors. The gay ancestors come in the tropical calendar. That's why it's a coffin for the dead, the ancestors, showing this arch here is showing the sun's maximal north declination above the equator at summer solstice 23.5 degrees north, and its maximal south declination below the equator at minus 23 degrees 0.5 south. This is north, this is south, equinox and equator. And you see again the mat. You're rising out of your old habits. Your organs are now re-energized. You're rising with the knowledge of a new you. Okay? And these canopic gods actually correspond also to the 4 stars of the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper was called the thigh of Set, the god of evil or the god of death. Set means stone or the tomb. And the constellation of the Big Dipper, there are certain stars in Big Dipper that are exactly at right angles to Sirius. That if you look at Sirius in the south, you go 90 degrees north, you'll see the Big Dipper stars. So there's a link between these two. This is shown in the Giza Pyramid, where the so-called Queen's Chamber points to Sirius. And there's, on the opposite side of the Queen's Chamber, a shaft that points to these stars, because they're at right angles to each other and they're linked magically. And so, there's the new you. Your organs are refreshed after sleeping. You have a new you after deep meditation or deep nirvana trance. And welcome to resurrection from the bad habits of smoking and drinking and lying and barebacking people you don't know and not being wise about this, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So, enjoy this tableau. I'm giving you quite a bit of detail in this one to help you be inspired to want to lay down and fall asleep and try to visualize these things. And while doing this, try to think before you go to sleep a bad habit you want to change. You want to wash yourself clean of your negative ways so you can resurrect as a new you. So enjoy and sweet dreams. Dwao and Hotepu.